Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to show you how I currently use barefoot buttons. So we have an exciting video today. I have my pedal board in front of me and I got this package that I ordered from Barefoot Buttons. We're going to do a quick little opening or an unboxing. It's not really a box, but you get what I mean. We're going to open up some mail and I'm going to show you guys what I got. Before we continue with the rest of this video, please do all of the things that help this channel grow. Hit the like button, subscribe and comment below, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I got my overhead camera right here. You can see my hands. This is my pedal board. I've been using Barefoot Buttons for quite some time now. So let me quickly go over my history with this company. Years ago, I was using the Boss DD500. The Boss DD500 is cool. It's a great multi-delay unit. It has only 3 foot switches, but they did multiple things. For example, if you press foot switch A and B together, you can either bank up or down, and B and C, you get it. 2 switches together and you could bank up or down through your various presets. The problem with that for me, and I honestly don't know if it's my own weird foot or if it's just the pressure of trying to hit 2 buttons at the same time in a live situation. I guess there's too much pressure for me and I lose my place and I end up always missing one button or the other, and it just messes up my entire thing. So I went online and I stumbled upon this company called Barefoot Buttons. At this point, it seemed like they were genuinely catering to barefooted guitar players, right? People who you would maybe see playing barefooted on stage, a lot of acoustic folk style guitarists. So that was the market, at least that's what they were marketing at that time. The website had a bunch of pictures of barefooted players. But as years went on, I think they started noticing that their product was definitely something that didn't just cater to one kind of group, but it was actually solving multiple problems. You see these buttons, and I'll show you from this overhead camera, are very wide right here. And this is a perfect example of their normal version 1 barefoot button right here. And they're very wide, so if I placed one on a foot switch and another one right next to it, it brings essentially those foot switches a lot closer together, and therefore pressing 2 of them at once is a lot easier to do. So I simply ordered it just for that. Then I realized how much it just made my life easier. Genuinely, it's a lot easier to press on your foot switches barefooted when you are pressing on these buttons versus directly onto the foot switch itself. And you know, we're in our own personal home studios a lot. Our shoes are off, we're barefooted, we're home, we're coming up with sounds. So yeah, it was really convenient to have these around. I've seen a lot of people use these for aesthetic purposes. They get various colors like this one, black, red, whatever colors they have available, and they sort of decorate their pedal board with it. I didn't really use it for that. I really honestly used it for the functionality that it brought to my rig. And as you guys know, if you're a fan of this channel, I'm all about function. I'm all about how is it going to make my life easier, and these Barefoot Buttons have done that. Eventually, Barefoot Buttons released their Tall Boy, which was an alternative version to their normal size. So this is the normal size one right here that I'm showing you on my overcam. Now I'm going to take off one of these tall boys here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll quickly just take it off of the HX Stomp right here. And this is a tall boy. A tall boy is a lot thicker, a lot bigger, as you can see, not in terms of its width, but in terms of its length. And so it just gives you a lot more spacing between your foot and the actual foot switch itself. And all this really does is just it rests immediately onto the foot switch. There's nothing special about it, and then it just locks in place, and then you could press the foot switch. And it's like aluminum, I guess. I would have to refer you to the website, so I don't know the actual size dimensions, but I will say that it's probably on the website. I'll just put a link in the description below. But I will say, man, it's been really, really convenient. It feels like aluminum, very, very sturdy material, and I trust it a lot. So what brings me to today's video? Great question. I was up one night thinking about my pedal board, as most normal human beings should do, and I was thinking about my frustration with the HX Stomp. See, for some reason, the placement of their foot switches has always been a little bit awkward for me, and I've always needed a barefoot button on there. And because I made my pedal board flat and not angled like what you would see on a pedal train, I had an even harder time reaching these foot switches without banging into like for example, this Digitech pedal right here, or messing up my settings on my drives right next to it. So I put barefoot buttons on. The problem though, as you can clearly see, is that these line 6 lights here give you an indication that your pedal is either on, or whatever effect you're using is on, as it is on right here, or off when the light is clearly off. But with the barefoot button on, as you can see the switch right next to it, you can't tell at all if the pedal is on or off. So you have to look at the screen to make sure that you could see that little box switching out and it turning on and off. And I just thought, man, that's a little inconvenient for me and a little bit of a guessing game. So I went on the Barefoot Buttons website and remembered that they had their clear acrylic version. So let's quickly open up the package they sent me today, and hopefully everything is in here intact and ready to be installed. Barefoot Buttons is just a regular padded envelope with their logo stamped on it. I'm just going to tear into it like a barbarian because I kind of also don't want you to see my address. And there it is. 3 individually packed barefoot button knobs here. Very nice. And it's their clear acrylic version. It comes with its own Allen key here, which or Allen wrench, and I already have one of those, so I'm not going to bother using that. But as you can see, it also comes with these little pegs not screwed in. So I'm going to take a moment to do at least one button so you could see what it would look like when you first get it in your hands here. So we're going to open up this package, take 3 of these buttons out. I'm very familiar with this process. Now this is the version 1 tall boy, as I've already ordered in previous times, so I know exactly what my needs are, as you can see. So it's pretty much the same, even though this one is many years old already at this point, at least 3 or 4 years old, and this one is brand new, obviously. But they're pretty much the same. Logo still placed in the same way, still looks like the same exact logo, just as sturdy. So obviously you're going to want to put the screw end side in so that you could have access to where your Allen key would go into. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. Now what you're going to do is meet it flush to the opening. So you're not going to push it in until so that it sticks out, but you're going to screw it in until you see it reach the opening. And it's pretty visible, specifically with this version, because it's actually clear and you could see right through it. So you could actually see the screw as it touches that very edge. The reason you want to do this is because it's going to make the installation a lot easier for you. So prep it by doing that. Now we're going to go to my HX Stomp here, and that very same switch that shows green, I'm going to turn it off really quickly. Now what I like to do is just place it on very quickly, test it out just like that. And as you can see, without even me putting it on just yet, I can now see the color shining through the barefoot button, and I can clearly tell that that pedal is now on, which is exactly what I was looking for. So now let me show you how easy it is. I like to put a little bit of pressure, not a whole lot, just a little bit, so that the knob actually stands still flush onto the switch. And I like to tighten a little bit at a time, just a little bit each spin. Then I'm going to keep it in place and tighten each side. Just like that. Once you got it nice and snug, it's not coming off, it's not going anywhere. Now I must warn you, the website does say do not over tighten, and I would say that they warn you to not do that for the protection of the pedal switch itself. Some of the switches are very sensitive. In fact, they have a version 2 which caters more to like this kind of smaller size foot switch, even though this is a version 1 that's on there right now and I've never had a problem with it. But I would say just refer to the sizing on their website and the sizing on your pedal to get the best version suitable for your particular pedal. So as you can see, very easy to install. It's making the effect visible again. The light that I was missing out on this entire time, I can honestly see it again. Plus, I still have the accessibility to the pedals, foot switches without any issues. You may have noticed I tend to put the barefoot buttons on the areas that I really want to make sure I know where they are. So for example, delay, easy access, reverb, easy access, right? My tuner easy access, my up and down for my snap, I only do it on one because I want the up to be very visible and the down to be very noticeable, so there's a clear difference. And then I do it on my tap tempo. I've been doing that on this one for a long time because to me, the tap tempo, or at least where I assign the tap tempo, and the bank switch are so close together, I want there to be a significant difference. I don't want to worry that I'm banking up when I should be pressing tap tempo. The size preference is going to be up to you in terms of a tall boy or a normal size barefoot button. I think that, for example, I didn't need a tall boy on this aux switch here for my HX Stomp, but I felt like I did need it to get to these switches on the HX Stomp because it was in a row where I thought it was a little bit more difficult to get to, and I think it's necessary. But it's completely up to you. Hey, you might even think I don't need those at all. So now we talked about the pros of this particular product. Now let's talk about some of the cons. So as you can see, the installation is very easy, but over time, especially if you're constantly switching that pedal on and off, I think you're going to find that those pegs that we tighten to keep it on the actual foot switch loosens over time, and the button will just randomly fall off one day. I think that's why it's important that when you tighten it the way that I showed you, because I learned this from experience. See, if you tighten it all the way, just one side or one particular peg before you do the other two, you're going to notice that it's going to get real nice and snug right away, and you're going to be inclined to leave it like that. What it's going to do is it's going to push the foot switch off center from the button, and then it's going to give it a higher chance of it falling off one day. Or maybe the foot switch may not even work properly because you're not actually getting to step on it in the correct way like you would normally do it had the button not been there or had it been centered to the foot switch. So it's important that you tighten all those pegs evenly so you can get the pressure on every side. But I think inevitably they will loosen over time, as it's all about tension, and I think tension over time just automatically will loosen. So it's just something to periodically keep your eye on. So I guess what I'm trying to say is they're not 100% foolproof, but 98%, I think it's pretty close. But now let's talk about the second thing, particularly with this version here, the acrylic version. You see, I actually had the acrylic version before version 1 normal size here, and I'm going to tell you the quick story of why I no longer have it. You see, as I mentioned just now, those pegs tend to loosen over time, and it did one day. And I was traveling to a show, and when I got there and went to take my pedal board out of its case, the button was loose and fell off, and it was the acrylic version, and so it fell on the ground and cracked right in half. Had it happened to one of these, the aluminum versions, then I don't think it would have been affected at all, but because it happened to one of these, the acrylic versions, it literally snapped right in half. Now this acrylic is like a hard plastic, almost like glass, so as soon as it hit the ground, it shattered and broke in half. So that's the biggest con, not necessarily with the entire product, but with this version in particular, which is why I've been hesitant to order it again in the past. But knowing that I needed to see the colors that were underneath the HX Stomp, I knew it was the perfect option. So I ordered it again. I'm going to give it a try. Like I said, as long as you're periodically checking it and making sure that it's snug on, I don't think it's anything to worry about. And to be honest with you, I'm traveling a lot less nowadays, so I guess I have a little bit less to worry about. Now, one thing I did notice in recently purchasing these barefoot buttons was that there's a lot more competition nowadays than there were when I first started searching for them. So back in the days, for me, they were the only company making things like this, but now that is certainly not the case. There seems to be a lot more companies who have ventured off into making products just like this one. And so, hey, maybe you don't need to go with barefoot buttons. You can give others a try. I think they all sort of get the job done. Everyone seems to be happy with the outcome. But I personally trust the quality of this product. One thing I noticed just by looking at photos was it just seemed like this was such a more solid product. And to be honest with you, though I just got my hands back on one of the acrylic versions, these aluminum versions I've had for years and years. So I'm really have no reason to want to switch to a different company at this point. Do me a favor, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you are in the market for something like this, if this is something that could change your life and make things better, or if you just do not need anything like this. I totally understand. This is one of those very small things for me that made a big difference. More so for traveling and getting to pedals on a pedal board versus everyday use. But what I will say, back in the day when I was using it on the Boss DD500, that dual switch option thing, that's where it really was a necessity for my everyday operation of that pedal to bank up and down and get to my different sounds quickly. That was like the best thing that I could do, outside of when I eventually purchased an aux switch specifically to bank up and down on that pedal. But this was a very affordable option to solve that problem for me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do all the things to continue to help this channel grow. Like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.